Afua, I want to get right to it. Buckingham Palace, the statement they released that doctors are, quote, concerned for Her Majesty's health, with the family arriving at Balmoral. What do you make of the scenario?
This is a scenario that we've never seen before, Suhana. We've never seen so much concern. The fact that Parliament was interrupted for this statement on the Queen's health, and the fact that her children and her grandchildren, Harry and Meghan mentioned there as well, through this ongoing family feud, are all gathering at her bedside, I think is particularly significant. We haven't seen this before. This is unprecedented. And yes, the Queen is 96 years old. She's faced a whole swathe of health issues, to be very honest, a bout of COVID-19, circulation issues, mobility problems, back problems. She has had a very full-on week. It's perhaps that meeting on Tuesday with the outgoing Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the incoming Prime Minister Liz Truss, and everything that entails in the kissing hands ceremony, perhaps just took this out of her, and she has deteriorated in the past 24 hours. We have seen the Queen rally before, but we have never seen this level of concern.
Our viewers were looking at shots of Balmoral Castle and the gates heading up the driveway to the castle. There are barricades, Afua, going up in that area. What are you expecting in terms of people gathering there? I mean, Balmoral Castle, about 800 kilometres or so north of London, potentially, a day's drive for people. What do you expect the outpouring of concern will be at that place?
Well, we have already seen crowds gathering at Buckingham Palace, and we can expect the same at Balmoral Castle. It's been very busy over the past few days because, like I mentioned, that handover of power between Boris Johnson and Liz Truss. So you did have a lot of media, especially in that area. So we can expect to see local people and other people turning up to show the concern and show the support for the Queen and her family at this time.
We're hearing about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle being in the UK, making their way to Balmoral. I have not got confirmation yet that they have arrived at the castle. Have you?
No, we know at the moment that they are on their way to Balmoral. They were supposed to be in London today for a ceremony for the charity Well Child that Harry supports along with Meghan. And of course, they were doing a kind of European tour, if you will, Manchester on Monday and Dusseldorf earlier on in the week. Now, they've taken this opportunity to gather with the rest of the family and head to Balmoral. Prince Charles, Camilla, Prince William, other children and grandchildren making their way also. It's significant that Prince Harry and Meghan are making their way to Balmoral as well, and actually getting rid of their other engagement, as it were, for the Queen. I think that kind of says to us how serious this is.
And what else is the significance of Harry and Meghan, I suppose, being invited? Because I'm wondering, there must be protocol when Her Majesty is sick, and to the extent that she is at this point, and we do not know just how unwell she is, but we know there is concern from her own medical team. In having the family gather, is there a list that would have been ready in advance of who the Queen wanted around her should she get ill and there be that concern?
Yes, there definitely will be protocol that will be followed. Prince Charles would be informed, as the next in line to the throne, and of course her children and grandchildren. Let's not forget that as well as being the Queen, she is a grandmother. She is a mother, so she will have a list of people of her immediate family who she will want around her at a time when she is very unwell. Of course, we saw that precedence to inform Parliament also, and that is done at a time where it's very significant. So there will be protocols to be followed. It's significant that Prince Harry, like you said, was invited. This shows us the seriousness, perhaps, of Her Majesty's illness at this time, but protocols are definitely being followed in the way that we are reporting the story, and of course in the way that people are gathering at this time.
When people gathered 3 months ago, was it, Afua, to celebrate the Queen's 70th year on the throne, she only made 2 appearances during that. But there was a slew of people outside of, Buckingham Palace. There were days of festivities. I'm wondering, in hindsight, if the appearances made by the Queen were any indication of just how perhaps difficult those mobility issues were and how challenging her health is.
I think we really got an insight actually into her health challenges because we, like you said, we only saw her twice, on the balcony, another event as well. And I think people thought we would see her more. And I think it was really significant actually that we didn't. It shows us the depth to which perhaps her health problems were. But I also think as well, it was such an amazing opportunity to celebrate her 70 years of service. I think after that, she'd made a decision that we would see less of her. It was kind of a final hurrah, a goodbye, if you will. Not a goodbye as in the end of her life, but possibly a transition period into where we will see more of Charles doing more of the heavy lifting, as you will, and the Queen doing less of that. But I think it was significant that we only saw her 2 times over that huge 4-day celebration. I also think, it's amazing actually that, we did get to have that celebration. I think a lot of people at that time thought the Queen is immortal. She'll be with us forever. And this is a stark reminder that unfortunately she won't.
And perhaps the death of Prince Philip after 70 years of marriage gave the Commonwealth and her subjects a sense that this is finite. No matter how much one would want the Queen to be immortal, there is a sense of the finite to this when Prince Philip died and we saw her alone in that church.
Absolutely. I think that was the beginning of the end of the royal family and the monarchy as we know it. There will never be another reign like that of Queen Elizabeth II. King Charles will not have the same affinity and the same love from people that Queen Elizabeth has. I think a lot of people know that. And so you're right. When Prince Philip died, it felt like we're coming to the end of something. This is the beginning of the end of something. And when Queen Elizabeth II does die, it will be the end of such an amazing and incredible reign, but also a certain period of the monarchy that we will never see the likes of again. When Charles takes power, when he ascends to the throne, it will be a very different, slimmed down, stripped back royal family.
You mentioned Prince Charles, and at one of the celebrations during that Jubilee, he made a speech to the crowd and addressed Your Majesty, Mummy. But he has worn the mantle, if you will, of the Queen and the responsibility that sits on her shoulders. He's been taking on more and more. What do you read into that in terms of the readiness of Prince Charles in the light of ill health from the Queen?
I mean, Prince Charles has been a king in waiting for how many years? He's had the most amount of training that you could possibly have for this position. He's more than ready to take up the mantle. He himself would probably have wanted to do it earlier. We definitely want to see a Charles Regency, that's for sure. But, he's definitely ready to take up that position. He has, like I said, been in training and been doing more of the heavy lifting for quite a long time now. At the state opening of Parliament and other occasions where we would have seen the Queen, we have seen Prince Charles and again on occasion Prince William. And there's a kind of new Fab Four with Prince Charles and Camilla and Prince William and Kate as well. And I think the 4 of them are the future of the royal family. And Prince Charles has really cemented that position through the work that he has been doing over the past, decade or so. Like I said, more of the heavy lifting, doing more of the things perhaps the Queen would have done before.
You mentioned Kate. Now, she is not there, as far as I know it, at Balmoral, but remained in Windsor because her children are beginning school. That's a big day for any parent. Should we be reading anything into that?
That's a really good point, actually. The first day of school for the Windsor children at their new school in Windsor, if you will, and they've just moved into that house. It is significant, perhaps, that she is not there. If we do see her go to Balmoral, then we should read into that as significant as well. Like you said, the first day of school in a new school for 3 children is a really big deal. And definitely, Kate felt that she needed to be there for them when they finish the school day, which actually finishes in the next 15 minutes or so. So we may see them head to Balmoral afterwards. That's something that we should look out for.
This shot that we're seeing, we've split the screen, Afua, so our viewers can have a look at Balmoral Castle as well in Aberdeenshire, Scotland. And I want to ask you about the significance of that particular castle where the Queen is right now. It's been a royal residence for more than 150 years. I believe that Queen Victoria and Prince Albert used it as, a vacation home, a holiday home, if you will. Said to be the Queen's favoured residence, and she has many of them. What does that tell you?
Absolutely. Balmoral is where the Queen holidays. It's where she comes to relax. And we've seen some beautiful pictures of the Queen and her family taken at Balmoral Castle. I think it is significant that she was there this week. I think it is significant that perhaps this is where she is very ill. But the fact that she hasn't been moved to the local hospital, I think it's the Aberdeen Royal Infirmary, is significant as well. But perhaps she would want to die in her own bed at home. Balmoral has always been well loved by the royal family, especially the Queen. You hear stories of her wandering around the estate with her protection officers and people coming across her while she's just walking the dogs and walking the grounds. It's a favoured place. So it is really significant and actually very beautiful that this is where she is, that this is where her family are gathering.
Afua, I do want to ask you as well about protocol, and we've been talking about those who would be called to attend the Queen should she be ill, and there is concern from her own medical team about her health. How much clarity can we expect to get from Buckingham Palace on the seriousness of the health concerns of a senior royal? I'm wondering if now that that statement has been released about the concerns, about the medical team suggesting this morning that, that family should be called, will we get any more details, or is it now the Queen is better or the Queen is not?
Yes, we won't get any details. We won't get any medical definitions. We won't get any ins and outs, the same that we didn't get with Prince Philip. Like you very rightly said, it will either be the Queen is better or the Queen is not better. And we know what the opposite of that is. We shouldn't expect to get any details, any definitions, any diagnosis. They will keep that very private under the protocol that they have. So we can, yes, just expect to hear that she is much better or she isn't, unfortunately.
What we are doing here as journalists and royal commentators is reading into the situation that is before us at Balmoral. The fact that the family has been called, the fact that it was such a speedy arrival for the children at Balmoral, those are indications that are pretty serious indications, aren't they?
Yes, they are very serious indications. We've never had these indications, never been announced to us these indications before. It's almost like they're preparing us for something. Even when Prince Philip was very ill and before he died, we didn't have these news lines that the family were gathering at their bedside. It's very significant that this has happened. But like I said, the Queen has rallied before. However, before she's rallied, we have never had these news lines. We've never been told that the family are gathering. So we can take from that what we will.
We'll be talking again, all eyes at Balmoral Castle and all fingers crossed for the Queen. Thanks for that, Afua.
Thank you.
Afua Hagan is a royal commentator, and we reached her in London.